to Undal.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. Very good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sorry for the delay. Last session I have classes. That is why there was a delay. And my slides are visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. 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 This is what we have disseminated yesterday, and we were introduced about the things which we are going to discuss in the today's class. We were given intro in the yesterday's class, and today we will discuss more about the nuclear power plant and diesel power plant. And already you are aware about these various nuclear fission reactions. Anyway, we'll refresh those things, and we'll again went into the title called nuclear power plant. And this is what very similar to that of the thermal power plant. Nuclear energy is obtained by alternating the structure of atoms, and the alteration made much energy is released in the form of heat, and it is used to generate the electric power. Usually these sources are from Jharkhand and Rajasthan, and in Kerala also we have some sources for this thorium. And the nuclear energy is trapped inside the atom, and it was generated in two types of reaction. One is nuclear fission, the another one is nuclear fusion. And nuclear fission is the process of splitting the heavier nucleus into two or more smaller nuclei with simultaneous liberation of large amount of energy. On the contrast, nuclear fusion, the process of combination of linear nuclei into heavier nuclei with simultaneous liberation, with the addition of the with the simultaneous liberation of large amount of energy. And nuclear fission, we'll discuss more about nuclear fission, because this is what happening behind the nuclear power plant. This The uranium 235 is mixed with uranium 238, and which is formed as in pellets, and this is shaped into rods, which is called as in fuel rods. This bundle of fuel rods are bombarded by the neutrons, and by hitting, bombardment is nothing but hitting, or making it has to hit on the other one is nothing but bombardment. And when it hit by the neutron, what happens? The fuel rod splits and release the neutrons, and the enormous amount of energy that was utilized to make it as into steam, and that steam is used to drive the prime mover. That is what happening in the case of nuclear power plant. This starts a chain reaction and splits atoms and bumps into the other atom, causing the fuel rods to get very hot. And water is pumped around the fuel rod and to absorb and carry away the heat, and resulting hot water. Then it is used to turn the turbine in order to get the electrical energy. And the nuclear reactions are contained in a controlled environment, as we are already aware that it is very harmful, and therefore it has to be in the controlled environment, which is called as a nuclear reactor. And it has its own disadvantage. At the end, we will discuss more about these advantages and disadvantages. And the some atomic minerals are detailed here. The minerals, that is beryllium, lithium, and zirconium, or the few examples of atomic minerals. And beryllium oxide used as moderator in the nuclear reactor, and India has the sufficient reserves of beryllium to meet. Just a minute. Yes, this is what the issue with handling the classes with the home. What happens? Watts will always disturbs to take the classes, and that is what. Yes, and some other the atomic minerals are detailed here, and the source of the atomic minerals were also detailed in Jharkhand, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh, we have uranium, and India produces about 2% of world uranium. The total reserves of uranium are estimated at 30,480 tons, and India imports thousands of tons of uranium, and from Russia, Kazakhstan, and even France, and this is what they see here. And India imports thousands of tons, and behind it there are major issues has to be discussed, and there are major politics are there behind this happening. And if time permits, we will discuss those things. And thorium and thorium distribution. And this is what the black diagram of nuclear power plant, and this is what the primary circuit, and this is what the secondary circuit. In the yesterday's video, we were disseminated three different circuits or handling with these nuclear power plant. And here this is the primary circuit, and this is what the secondary circuit. The secondary circuit is very similar to that of the steam power plant, and the primary circuit is different than the steam power plant. The steam generation part would be the different in the nuclear power plant. And see here, we have electrical steam generator and the control rods in fuel rods, which were kept in the containment building, and the reactor vessel. And here, see the steam lines. These steams are generated and which were transferred to the turbine through steam lines. Here the turbines or prime movers are connected with the generator and generates power through the transformer. We are transferring the power from one end to another end. And concerning the transformers, we were watching various transformers in and around us. Whether it might be the step up transformer or it might be the step down transformer. In and around us, we have various transformers, whether it might be the step up transformer or it might be the step down transformer. Concerning today's class, I request the last batch to continue with this. Last batch, you please continue with this. That is from 51 to 58. You please unmute your mic and please join with us. Vikash Kumar, Vikram Vijay, Venkat Chai, Shashma, Utsav.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sivasekaran. And yes. 106, what is your name? 106?
Sir,
Sisti. And Tanmoy Jajotar. Yes, you please unmute your mic and you please join with us till then. We were watching the transformer, whether it might be the step up transformer or it might be the step down transformer. In and around as we have various transformer, whether it might be the step up or step down. Yes, tell me, we will continue. We were already late there.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yes. In and around us, we are watching various transformers in our streets. Whether it might be the step up transformer or it might be the step down transformer.
So step down transformer.
Yes, of course, it would be the step down transformer. The step up transformers are used in the power plants as well as in the power stations. But in near us, we are having the transformer which is used to step down, and we'll discuss. Do you have any other puzzle to discuss? Once the puzzle is over, we will continue the session. Anyone go with some puzzles and some current affair and go. We will start. We will continue the presentation. Someone.
Sir, yesterday various news agencies so the exit poll of life is very video state assembly poll.
Yes. What happened in different 5 states? What was the prediction? What was the forecasting?
Sir, in Tamil Nadu, they shown that TMK a clear win, and in West Bengal, a tough fight between TMC and BJP, and in Puducherry and Assam, a clear win to BJP, and in Kerala, again LDF will come to the power.
And West Bengal, concerning West
And
Bengal,
Assam too, sir, like BJP will again retain.
in West Bengal,
In West Bengal, some shows BJP, someone is showing TMC. Like there is a tough fight. No one is said to be like clear winner as per everyone.
okay, okay. Yes. Yes, along with that, what we need to concern is China launches key module for its permanent space station. That was interesting issue. And anyone come across that title? Tahi blast into space from the Wanchang Center. In Hindu, it was
Mars rover from China, right?
yes, yes. In Hindu, it was presented in page number 11, and China launches trying to launch a new space station. So far, we have only one space station, that too with. Do you aware about it? Whether we can access this space station? India has the permission to access the space station, international space station, and even the life of that station end up with the 2024. And what happens, China wants to place a new permanent space station and for their own, and it might be for another 10 years after after 2024, what might be the portion of international space station. The life will be end up with 24, and after that the China only having the international space station, and the India has to take it very seriously concerning this issue. And do you have any content related to this space station?
The the Mars rover is named as Zhurong. That China is launched.
Yes, yes. Yes, go ahead with that content. If feasible, we'll discuss in the near future. And please conscious about it. Okay, okay. Yes, this is what the black diagram. And nuclear power plants in India. We have various nuclear power plants in Tarapur and Kakrapur, Rajasthan, and Norara, and even Madras. That is now it was Chennai, and in Kudangulam also we have a new nuclear power plant. And this was the uranium and thorium reservoirs in India. See, 35 percentage of thorium and uranium reserves are in Andhra Pradesh, and 15 to 20 percentage belongs to Tamil Nadu and Odisha, and 10 to 15% Kerala and West Bengal, and around 5 percentage belongs to Bihar. And in eastern coastal states are having these thorium in India, in particular in India. And nuclear power plant, as I already discussed about it, the 1 kg of nuclear fuel like uranium 235 would produce energy equivalent to 4,500 tons of high grade coal. And that is why we are now the various countries are trying to erect their new nuclear power plants. And during the protest which was happened in Kudangulam, that has to be taken care when we are discussing about the nuclear power plant. And see what happened in Japan. They are having the plan to shut down the nuclear power plant, or they are having the policy to erect a new nuclear power plant. That you please Google it, and if you got the information, then that would be better to discuss about the various issues related to nuclear and Kudangulam. and this is what the chain reaction. And see, when the neutrons is bombarded with the uranium 235, what happens? Whether it gives enormous energy, it releases the enormous energy, and fission products. We are getting two smaller nuclei along with the three neutrons. And what happened? It continues and it propagates. And one neutron is bombarded with the uranium 235, and it liberates barium and krypton. Barium 142 and krypton 91, along with the three neutrons. And these three neutrons release three neutrons again, bombarded with the uranium 235, and this chain reactions continues. And once it was bombarded with the neutron bombarded with the uranium 235, it releases enormous amount of energy. That energy is used to create the power in the case of nuclear power plant. That is what the study says. And in some other fusible material are presented. And U-35 is the most common isotope used for the nuclear chain reaction. It produces comparatively higher amount of energy and heat from the other fissionable material, and this was the reaction. And I already revealed about this in a descriptive way. I have revealed it. And the heavier nucleus uranium 235 strike one neutron, and it produces alternate three neutrons, and these three neutrons again strikes the U-35, which produces 9 neutrons, and striking 9 neutrons produces 27, and so on, and it continues. And this is what illustrated in this particular picture. A single fission reaction generates large amount of energy, so that the complete nuclear chain reactions process will generate many times greater energy. And see here, it gives the 1 kg of uranium, which will give 20 into 10 power 6 kilowatt of heat energy. That is what given here. And whether which is equivalent to 1,700 tons of oils, which is equal to the 4,500 tons of high grade coal. See, 4,500 tons of high grade coal. And when we are concerning about this, these are all the basics of nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. And do you have any doubts with these contents? Shall we hit on to nuclear power plant? Anyone please unmute your mic and tell me. Anyone?
We can continue, sir.
Yes. Yes, you please join with us. Last 8, you please join with us till the end. You unmute your mic so that we can recognize your understanding. Shushma, you please unmute your mic. Yes. The working principles and the nuclear reactor used to produce the heat, and the heat exchanges performs to is used to convert the water into steam by using the heat generated in the nuclear reactor. And this is what the steam is feed into the prime mover, and condenser is used to condense it, and the steam is turned to run the electrical generator or alternator, which is coupled to the steam turbine, and thereby producing electrical energy. And nuclear reactor, we have nuclear reactor, heat exchanger, steam turbine, and alternator. And this is what the circuit. And see here, we have nuclear reactor, hot metal, and heat exchangers. And here one circulation with the water. Here steam is water is converted. With the other circuit, we have water. There are 3 different water circuits are there. Apart from the primary and second circuit, we have 3 different water circuits. And with these water circuits are used to convert the water into steam. And there won't be any direct contact with the heat. Only heat exchanges from in the heat exchanger, heat transfer from the one end to another. And in the video itself, it was clearly shown that because it was direct coupled with the nuclear reactor and it won't be sent to the atmosphere, we know that it is very hazardous, and therefore heat only transfer from one end to another. And this is what the second circuit. The steam is water is fed into the heat exchanger, and it was converted into steam through some valve. It is sent to the turbine, and it rotates the prime mover, and we are getting the power. And then it is sent to the condenser to condensate, and through the feed water pump, it is again sent to the heat exchanger. In the condenser, and now to condense, we are having a cooling water circuit. And in some other picture, see, this is what you need to present in the examination. We have primary circuit and the secondary circuit. In the primary circuit, we have reactor core, pressure vessel, and fuel rods, and the moderators, and the thermal shielding. We have thermal shielding, as well as we have concrete shielding. And here the hot coolant is circulated, and this circulation is used to convert the water into steam in the steam generator. And in order to maintain the pressure, we have pressurizer, and in the pressurizer we have heater. In order to have the in order to heat the water, in order to maintain the pressure, we have the heater here. And in the steam generator, the water is fed here, and the heat is transferred from this circulation, and water is converted into steam, and which is sent to the turbine. And the turbine, once starts rotate, and we are getting the power, and then it loses the steam, is loses the pressure, and then what we need to do, we need to reduce the temperature also, and that was done in the condenser. And with a feed pump, the pressure was raised, and again it was sent to the steam generator. And this was the working principle of nuclear power plant. We'll discuss little more about it. And the heat is liberated in the reactor due to the nuclear fission, as I detailed. And the heat energy is absorbed by the coolant circulating through the reactor core. And here the coolant pump is provided to maintain the flow of the coolant, and the hot coolant leaves the reactor at the top, and then flows to the steam generator. The steam produced is passed to the turbine, and the turbine drives a generator, and thereby generating the electricity. In the exhaust steam in the turbine is then recirculated, and which is which is recirculated in order to get converted into steam, and in order to rotate the turbine. And the exhaust steam is the turbine is circulated back to the steam generator, and using the feed pump after condensation in the condenser. And we have pressurizer. See, here we have the pressurizer, and the coolant circuit, that is primary circuit. Pressure is to be maintained. Here the pressure has to be maintained at higher level than that of the water steam circulation, than that of the secondary circuit, to maintain the coolant at liquid state. This coolant has to be in the liquid state, and I'll tell you why it has to be in the liquid state. The purpose of this is to ensure that no boiling of the coolant take place. Thus the coolant remains in the liquid phase throughout its the path in the primary circuit. Whenever the load on the reactor changes, see, there is a load, and what happens, the coolant temperature as well as its volume changes, and this causes pressure change in the coolant circuit. Whenever the pressure increases, water flashes into steam, and this results in disruption of the safe working of the reactor, and therefore this circulation has to be maintained pressure, and we have to be very conscious. Once it was elevated to steam, then that's all, and it will lead to adverse happenings. It will lead to some other mishappening, and this results in disruption of the safe working of the reactor, and even burnout of the nuclear fuel element. And whenever the pressure decreases, it causes cavitations, which are again harmful. And to avoid this happening, the pressurizer is provided, and which is viewed as a surge chamber, and which accommodates the change in the volume and at the same time maintaining the pressure limits. See, there is a heating coil, and in the pressurizer boils the water to form steam. The steam is collected in the dome. Here it was collected in the dome, and it pressurizes the entire coolant circuit before starting the reactor. Before it went to the steam generator, this has to be maintained. And we have radiations, hazards, and shielding. There are water becomes radioactive, and when it was passing through the reactor, because it has a direct contact. Hence, the reactor is source of intense radioactive, and these radiations are very harmful to human life, and it requires strong control to ensure that this radioactive is not released into the atmosphere to avoid atmospheric pollution. And thus, we have two different shielding. The one is thermal shielding, the another one is concrete shielding. And the thermal shielding is made of metal lining. This thermal shielding is made of metal lining, and it surrounds the entire reactor core and absorbs some of the radiation in the form of alpha rays, whether it might be the beta particles and escaping neutrons produced by the fission. And thus it gets heated and prevents the reactor wall from getting heated. And the coolant flows over the shielding to take away the heat. And we have the concrete shielding too. And a thick concrete shielding is provided to prevent escape of these radiations, which was left by the thermal shielding. And it was not affect the atmosphere. And in order to control over the atmospheric pollution, it was given. And we need to be very care about these thermal shielding and concrete shielding. And we have steam generator, and we have these steam generator, feed pump, steam turbine. The condenser part is very similar to that of the thermal power plant. And that's all about the nuclear power plant. And we'll discuss about the this is what we were yesterday we were seeing. And we will discuss about the advantages and disadvantage. And see, the concerning the advantage, less fuel is enough. The nuclear power plant requires uh, very small fuel than fossil fuels. And 1 metric ton of uranium fuel is equal to 3 million metric ton of coals, and which is equal to 12 million barrels of oils. And fuel transportation cost is less, and the fuel storage facility are not needed as in the case of thermal power station. And less space requirement, the space is less compared to other power plants of equal capacity. And weather condition, nuclear power plant is not affected by adverse weather conditions, and the function throughout the year is constant. And hydro plant, see, when in the case of hydropower plants, and it depends the monsoon, and it won't the monsoon or the weather won't be issue in the case of nuclear power plant. And the number of workmen required at the nuclear plant is far less than the thermal power plant. And location, the nuclear power plant can easily located where coal resource or dams are not available. Even that place also we can erect the nuclear power plant. And the increased reliability of operation of nuclear power plant. And concerning the environment, the power plant, thermal power plant burns thousands tons of coal per year, and it look like the madhouse of coal mines, conveys trucks, ash, etc. But the nuclear power plant of same capacity will be very neat, very clean, sophisticated, and is even hospital quite. And on the same way, it has some adverse features. And the waste disposal in the nuclear power plant, the major problem faced is disposal of highly radioactive waste in the form of liquid, whether in the form of liquid, solid, or gas, without any injury to the atmosphere. The radioactive waste, if not disposed very carefully, then the adverse effect on the health of workmen and the population surrounding the plant. And the varying load, The nuclear plant is not suited for varying load condition. The loading should be constant, and it requires skilled and well-trained professionals. And the chain, it is necessary to control the chain reaction, and the initial cost is high. The maintenance is also high, and these are all the things later related to nuclear power plant. And do you have any queries with the nuclear power plant? Do you want to discuss anything? Okay, we'll discuss any doubts in nuclear power plant? If you don't have any doubts, then we will discuss the diesel power plant. This is what the block diagram of diesel power plant. We'll discuss it once we are. Yes, tell me.
So, this nuclear waste is and all in some country they're storing in some island and all also.
There is an interruption with your audio, Bhavya.
So
Yes,
this
come
nuclear
closer to the mic.
waste,
Come closer to the mic and tell me.
nuclear waste and all storing in some islands, no sir, in other countries. But in India, they're storing in the pool, that too old pool, no sir. They said there will be reconstruction in new area, but that construction did not start. Did it damage the surrounding people which is living near to the nuclear plant?
You are inquiring or you are sharing the information? You are asking me to answer for this?
I'm asking you.
Yes, what happens in Kudangalam, even after the influence of Abdul Kalam only, they were accepted. And when there is a new plant planning for Kudangalam, like nuclear power plant, it is in today's scenario, it was the issue. The people are now literate. They are not allowing to erect the newer plants, and they are taking the Japan. Even my discussions also, I have told about the Japan. What happened in Japan? Have you heard it? Japan affected a lot by you were already aware.
Yes,
sir. Japan has to be. Japan is affected by what? Earthquake and yes, Ankit.
World War. During the World War, they were bombed. The Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed. Sir.
Yes. And no, I'm asking about the earthquakes and other storms and other calamities, natural calamities.
2011 March.
Yes. There are, what happened? They were during calamities during these. Yes.
Volcano. In some part there are some volcano eruptions, and like mostly they feel earthquakes very frequently.
Yes. That was the issue. And during that time, how we can able to control the chain reaction in the nuclear reactor? That was the issue. Still, we have the control rods with control, and it has to be controlled once it was affected by the natural calamity, whether it may be the earthquake or it might be the any storm at that time, and it has to be self control and self demolition has to be erected during the design itself. And that was the issue with the nuclear power plant. That is why the people are now they are very concerning about the repulsion, or and they don't want to build new power plants in India, and that was happened in Kudangalam. Yes, any other matter? Any other?
So, but they said this wastage only going to build new, sir. Storing of the wastage of a nuclear matters will be stored. That is
yes, what we need to do, we need to very strong with the design, and then we need to make them to understand about the design. That is what Kalam concerned,
Is
and
it
Kalam.
a safe way to store inside the India? It may be outside like island we can store, no sir. What other countries are doing right now?
That you search and tell me, Bhavya, so that your friends can understand.
Okay, sir.
I'm sending the ball again back to Bhavya. You do the search and tell me what was the policy of India, where it is storing the nuclear waste, and even you compare with the other countries too. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any puzzle? You tell me some puzzles. We'll try to solve the puzzle, and then we'll talk about the diesel power plant. We have only 8 minutes more. So tell me, tell me. Santosh? Santosh?
Yes, sir.
Santosh, tell me any puzzle, Santosh.
Puzzle. Sir, I don't have any puzzle right now, sir.
Okay, sing a song.
I'm not good at it.
No, we are not conducting any competition.
Sir. Mm,
Okay, fine. Just to wake up others. And okay, we'll discuss more about the diesel power plant. See, this is what the black diagram diesel power plant. And I hope you are having a separate notebook and you are copying these important text, the illustrations. And text and all will disseminate the PPTs. You through the PPT, you go through those text, but these diagrams has to be practiced. And I hope you are practicing so. And this is what the black diagram. See what happens in diesel power plants. We have the miniature. We have the tinier generators, diesel generators in our home or in the theaters. What happens? We have the local power stations called diesel generator. What it does? It has some diesel engine. When we are feeding the diesel engine, diesel to the diesel engine, what it does? It tries to rotate. And since concerning to your particular syllabus, you don't have any title related to IC engines. But usually, when we are talking about the power plants, the engine has to be discussed. Without knowing the principle of engine, it is very hard to understand about the diesel power plant. Still, what we are we were you were already aware about the working principle of, I think so, working principle of two wheelers, whether it might be a two-stroke engine or four-stroke engine. That has to be revealed in the case of engine, IC engine, internal combustion engines. And see here, what happens? You simply remember that it gives the rotary motion. The engine gives the rotary motion, and when time permits, we will discuss little more about the happenings of internal combustion engines, how these various torques will give the rotation, and that was in detail about the content related to IC engines. See, in diesel engine, when we are feeding the diesel, it gives the rotary motion. That rotary motion is connected with the generator, and which gives the electrical power. That is what the happenings of diesel power plant. The power plant, diesel power plant, which uses the diesel engine as a turbine, as a prime mover to generate electrical power, which is called as a diesel power plant. It can be used as a standby plant for the hydroelectric power plant or thermal power plant. For emergency service, they can use as a peak load in combustion with the thermal or hydrogen loads. When there is an enormous amount of power source, at that time it might be the for a standby, these hydroelectric plants are used, and the diesel power plant for power generation used in the transportation system like automobiles, railways, and aeroplanes and ships. This is what the power source, major power source, and this is what the layout. We have fuel storage here, and it was through the feed pump. It was sent to the the multi-cylinder diesel engine, we have filters. In the meantime, it has to be filtered, and then it was sent to the all-day tank. This is the overhead tank. Without any much power supply, it has to be sent to the diesel engine. Therefore, it was elevated to certain height, and then it was overhead tank. That is what it is. But it is taught as an day tank. All day it has to supply the fuel. Therefore, it is called as a day tank. And through the pump, the fuel is pumped to the day tank. And once it was necessary, the fuel is slowly comes to the filter, and it is fed to the fuel injection pump. And we have the air filter. Air is a major source, not to pump. The air is a major source for pumping and for doing various actions in the diesel engine. Therefore that was get through the atmosphere. And see here, here we have the air compressor, and we have the starting air tank, and this air is also sent to the diesel engine. And we have the lubricating oil. Lubricating oil is circulated in the diesel power plant. And we have cooling water circuit, and not to cool the surroundings of the engine. We have the cooling circuit, water cooling circuit, and it was condensed through the condenser. And we'll discuss one by one in detail. And see, there are various components related to diesel power plant or diesel engine. Engine startings, we have engine starting system, fuel supply tank, air intake system, exhaust steam, cooling system, and lubrication system, and governing system. These are the systems related to this diesel power plant. And diesel engine, it is the heart of the diesel power plant, and which is the chemical energy available in the fuel is converted in mechanical energy. And the from the diesel engine, we are getting the reciprocating motion, and this reciprocating motion is converted is coupled with the generator, and through the generator we are getting the power. And the engine starting system, we have engine starting system. See, it includes air compressor and starting air tank. Air compressor and starting air tank. This circulation system is called as an engine starting system. And what it does, it includes air compressor and starting air tank. The pressure of this system is to start the engine from the cold by supplying the compressed air. During there are various seasons, and during winter, we need to provide the compressed air in order to start the diesel engine. And that is why we have the air compressor. Once the season is different, there won't be any much influence of this engine starting system. And during the winter, it has to work, and the air has to compress. And I'll tell you what happens one by one. I'll tell you. And we have the fuel supply tank. The fuel supply tank system. This is what the fuel supply system. And we have fuel storage tank, filters, pump, and it was pump is used to pump the fuel in order to feed into the all-day tank. It is a overhead tank. The overhead tank supplies the fuel to the engine. And we have air intake system. The air filter, here we have the air filter, which is used to remove the dust from the incoming air system, incoming atmospheric air. The air filter may be of a dry type, which is made up of felt, wool, or cloth. In oil bath type of filters, the air is swept over the bath of oil, so that the dust particles get collected. and we have the exhaust system. The exhaust system, we have silencer muffler is provided to reduce the noise produced by the engine. And see, the diesel engine or engines will create very noise that has to be reduced with the help of a system which is called as a silencer. See here, see in the automobiles we have silencer which reduces the air pollutions, and we have the we have in order to make a detailed note about the engine cooling system. This is what the engine cooling system, and the temperature of the burning gas in the engine cylinder would be between 1500 to 2000 degrees Celsius. The water is circulated inside the engine is keep the temperature at the reasonable level, and the hot water from the engine is cooled in the spray tank by circulating using the pump. And the engine lubricating system, this is what the engine cooling system. This is what the engine cooling system. We have the engine lubricating system too, and the lubrication is essential to reduce the friction wear of the engine parts such as cylinders, valves, and pistons. And the engine lubricant system, lubricating oil or cooler and the oil pump, we have the lubricating oil which gets heated due to the friction of the moving parts and gets cooled in by using this engine engine lubricating system. And we have the governing system. The function of the governing system used to maintain the speed of the engine constant irrespective of the load of the plant. This is done generally by varying the fuel supply to the engine according to the load. See, when there is an peak load, what happens? The engine will try to stop, and at that time, what we need to do, we need to provide an additional fuel to the engine in order to maintain the constant speed. That is what the governing system, and it has like similarly, it has its own advantage and disadvantage, and we'll discuss more about it in the subsequent class. Do you have any doubts with this diesel power plant? And already it was 11:24. Do you have any doubts with the system? Diesel power plant. Santosh? Santosh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Do you have any doubts?
No.
Bhavya? Ankit? Okay. Okay. Anyway, we'll refresh this power plant and we'll discuss the advantage and disadvantage in the subsequent class. Thank you. We'll meet in the subsequent class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.